Doing pretty good. You guys need a little bit more time, or you can just wrap up. Just one last minute for anybody that's wrapping up. All right. You guys ready to go? Ready to get this started? Good. Nobody's falling asleep after the meditation music? Good. All right. Well, I'm seeing some new faces. I just want to make sure everybody knows everybody that's here real quick. So want to first welcome, we have Trisha, right? Trisha, you don't mind raising your hand? Yes. And then you say, is it Jessica, right? Yes. This is Jessica. Yes. And then we have, no, she's been here, but new to me. And then we have Ernie in the back, right? And Ernie's been with the company for some time as well. And then we have Leslie here. If you don't know Leslie, Leslie's awesome. And it's Nina, right?
Yeah.
Nina. We have Nina here. And we have Lisa. Lisa Cornett's new with us as well. We got Kelly in the back. I know he's an OG now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, OG. And then we have Yvette and we have Nicole, if you haven't met them yet. And again, I'm horrible with names. I know we've met Felicia, yes.
Inspiro.
Felicia with Inspiro is here as well. Okay. So we are going to start. Go ahead. Is there any questions? What's that?
You forgot one.
I got Laura, right?
No,
Did I not say Laura? Oh, well, you were the first one on my mind. And then I was trying to, I thought I was going to put you on the spot. So and I saw that look, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to call her toward the thirds or last. So this is Laura. Laura's a good friend of mine for a long time. She's been a family friend. She's been an inspiration to me early in my career, and grateful to have her here. So Laura Kaufman, and great resource of information. So everybody ask Laura questions after we're done with this as well. But she's awesome. We're glad to have her back as part of the family. Okay. Okay. So we're going to get going now. Unless anybody wants to just share a quick gratitude before we get going, and I won't put anybody on the spot, just anybody wants to share one. Get to go.
Mine was clean sheets.
Clean sheets.
Yeah, you know when you change your sheets and then you go into bed?
Uh-huh.
It's like the best feeling in the world.
Okay.
I
Where
know
you going with
that
that
sounds
one?
really weird.
Right.
It's like, but I am just so grateful that I have
Clean sheets.
so many pairs of clean sheets.
That's awesome.
Wonderful. I know it sounds weird, but it's just like
Great place to start.
But I'm also grateful for sunrises and sunsets.
That's nice. Cool.
Because I run in them every day.
There you go. That sounds good. Any other gratitudes? Any other gratitudes? Okay. All right. Well, we're going to jump into the listing presentation. And before we get into the listing presentation, again, thank you all for coming here today. So just to kind of give you a little bit of rundown, you guys all made it through the first part of the morning ascent. So congrats on that, right? We're going to do this every single week. For morning ascent, we're going to start at 9:15. It's typically going to be 30 minutes. This one's going to go a little bit longer. I guess if we don't have a meeting right after, we can spend a little bit more time together. I personally like to focus on the skill sets personally. Mindset's big for me as well, but skill set to me is the part where I've seen people truly grow and start practicing and knowing what to focus on to help increase their business. Okay. So in skill sets, you really have, there's more than this, but these are 2, 4, 5, in my opinion, top things to master. Okay. This, we got the lovely ambulance or fire truck going by. Okay. So setting appointments. So one of the things you say in the 12 steps of the summit of success is to set one appointment a day. A lot of people really don't know what that means or know what kind of appointment. Does that mean a listing appointment? Does it mean a buyer's appointment? Does it mean meeting with a friend? It could be all of the above. Now, when you're getting to a higher level of setting appointments, it's a motivated seller and a motivated buyer appointment. Okay. This is the fuel of your business. If you're not doing this every day, and this is regardless of how long you've been in the business, you should have at least an hour to 2 hours focused towards finding and setting appointments, finding motivated buyers and sellers, proactively looking for them, not waiting for them to come to you. If you set that into your day, you will create consistency in your schedule. The numbers just always work out. Okay. But you have to actively be speaking to people, engaging with people. And as we know, it's harder now to set appointments. It's harder now to get a hold of people because of cell phones and screening, right? How many solicitations do you get a day? We don't want to come across like solicitors. We want to engage in relationships, in conversations with ideally relationships we already have or new relationships that we're creating. Okay. There's different ways to do it. You can do it by text. I mean, you should start with a call. If you can't get a hold of them by call, shoot them a text. You can shoot them an email. They have voice text. Voice text works really well. I tried that last week and it worked. Okay. There's also video that you can send to people. That's effective. So try different ways of engaging. Social media is a way of engaging. Don't spend all day on social media, but block out some time that you start looking at your sphere, your SOI, your sphere of influence, start paying attention to what people are doing. Comment here and there, right? But you don't have to solicit business on social media, just engaging, right? And then it's also seeing what's happening in their lives, okay? So that's one aspect that we need to master. That's one of the skill sets. Another one is called pre-qualification. This is different than just saying, hey, let's send them to our loan officer, Felicia here, right? Even though she loved that part, right?
Yes.
And she can help you after you've set the appointment. So many people, and this is where I see the ball drop quite a bit, is what they do is they'll talk to somebody that they really don't have a strong relationship with yet. They just met them at an open house. They met them somewhere, they were referred to them, but they haven't established that they're really the leader in the situation. And what they try to do is they try to send it straight to Felicia right away. And sometimes there's not a connection for whatever reason. It's not on the loan officer's fault. It's the fact that maybe we haven't really discovered how motivated this buyer is yet, right? And we haven't created enough value for them to take action. So one of the things I learned, and I pull things from everybody who teaches, Tim Galvin, who used to teach here, he taught, you have to identify their point A and everybody has a point B, okay? Where are they at right now? Where are you trying to get them to? Okay, you have to know what their next step is. And for many people, it is to get them to somebody, qualified like Felicia that can pre-approve them and qualify them and even go further and get them where they are so ready. It's called the Everest Guarantee.
Yeah,
right?
Advantage.
Everest Advantage, which is like a DU approval, right?
No, it's more than that. It's
More than a
actually
DU.
an underwriter a letter stating that they are fully credit approved.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
So that is powerful in this market right now. You're not just getting a pre-qual, you're not just getting a pre-approval. They have to collect all the paperwork, but you're getting the Everest Advantage, which is a letter signed by the underwriter saying everything's been submitted, right? Now we are a step higher than all the other offers coming in. That's huge. Okay. So point A to point B. So typically what I'll do is I'll set the appointment to meet them in the office. There's a hierarchy of where you want to meet people. This is when I was studying internet leads. And the rule to win internet leads or any type of prospecting, meet them face to face. 2/3 of the time, the first agent who meets that prospect face to face is the agent that they work with. Unless you blow it, unless they, they just don't like you, there's no connection, there's no nothing, then they may still keep looking around. But we have to remember that looking for an agent is a stressful, awkward process. And so once you start doing the things that we teach in terms of being a professional, setting appointments, having a schedule, having a daily planner, which if you don't have one of those yet, get one from a title rep. They all give them out. Okay, get one that with a title company that you use, get that daily planner and use it. Start setting those appointments. Okay, next, presentation. Presentation is going to be your listing presentation or your buyer presentation. These skills are extremely important. You should know what you're going to say when you set the appointment. Okay, this is big and we're going to focus on this today. Next is objection handling. Who knows what an objection is? If they can give just a quick description of what an objection is. Ernie?
That's a question.
It's the question, I'm sorry.
It's a question they still have that hasn't been answered.
Beautiful. That's so he said a question that a buyer or seller has that hasn't been answered. Okay, that's actually a very good explanation of what it is. That's what you're getting to. For the way that most people see objections is that it's a hesitation to move forward, right? And commit to either writing an offer, to getting a listing signed, to committing to you as their agent, right? Which the reason is exactly what Ernie said. They have an unanswered question. So you have to figure out what's going on in their head of why they're not committing and moving forward. It's natural tendency to procrastinate, to not want to commit, to not want to sign the dotted line. There's all these what ifs that start playing in our head, right? These are unanswered questions. So our job as an agent is to identify why aren't they committing? Why aren't they moving forward? And how do we figure that out?
By asking questions.
Absolutely. So you ask questions to find out why are they hesitating to moving? So that's a critical question. May I ask you, what's your hesitation in writing an offer? May I ask you, what's your hesitation in signing this listing agreement and getting started tonight with me, right? You have to ask them, what is their hesitation? That's their objection. The good news about objection handling is when you get to that objection, that wall that you're trying to close, you're trying to get them to commit, and that objection comes up, what's the good news about it? Even though they can be uncomfortable, they can say, what do you charge commission? Once I know what you charge commission, then we can figure this out. Why do I get excited about objections for myself personally?
You pass them, they sign the contract. Or
You will.
You're having a conversation.
The next step after the objection handle is the signing of the contract. So get excited, look forward to that objection, prepare, practice, know how to handle those objections, because right after that, if you do it right, they will sign the contract. That's the good news about an objection. Okay, when you get to that part, because any major decision, you're always going to talk yourself out of it. That's a typical thing to do, especially if you're analytical, right? So then we have closing. That's knowing how to close. Okay, a lot of times people don't even close, or they try to close too early. They try to set the appointment too early. Setting an appointment is closing. That's the first step. On setting an appointment, when we're prospecting, a lot of people think you're trying to convince, like for sale by owner, that they're wrong by trying to sell it on their own, and they should list with you because you're the greatest agent in the world, right? And they're wasting their time thinking about anybody else. That's not the time and the place to convince them of that. The time and the place is when you meet them face to face, okay? So it's understanding the different aspects of it. And once you understand that and you master each of these skill sets, you're going to see that it all starts coming together. And you should be spending a majority of your time in your day doing these things. I'd say 80% of your day. So your mornings are set. And if you're focusing your activities, these are your money making activities. I used to hear them from somebody called MMAs, money making activities. When you design your task list, your checklist for each day, write it all out and then go through them and reorganize and put your top 2 or 3 at top that are going to lead to you making money. Guess what happens if you do money making activities every single day?
You make money.
Exactly. But where are we spending our time? Where are we focused at? Are we spending our time doing all our admin work, right? Especially when we got an escrow or 2 escrows. That's probably a majority of our time because we want to close that deal and make sure that we get paid for all the work of trying to get that, right? And the problem is when we focus all of our time on the admin side of it, what happens? You don't prospect, you don't feel the business, the setting appointment side. So after you wrap those up, how long does it take to get that momentum going again?
3 months.
Another 3 months. That's right. Okay. So the key is to always keep it going. Ideally, you have at least one in escrow. Before you wrap up that escrow, you're already starting your next escrow, if you can do that. Always keep a paycheck coming. Know that a check's always coming in the bank, right? So before you close, your goal is to get that next one going. and keep it going. Then eventually it's going to be, you're going to set higher numbers and you're going to start going, okay, I want 3, I want 5, I want 6, I want 7 in the next 2 months. And you can do it. And then you're going to find out that with the right structure, with the transaction coordinator, with the right support, you can focus your activities on the activities that are going to keep your business going, and then delegate out so that you're not bogged down trying to do everything for every single transaction. That's when your business starts taking to the next level. That's our goal here. That's what we do here at Everest is we teach you how to build your business. We teach you how to grow it from the ground up and how to spend your time in the best place. So if you're open to that, that's what we're going to focus on every single time we do Morning Ascent. Okay. If I'm presenting it, that's typically what we're going to do. Karen also is going to be teaching these classes as well. Karen's got extensive coaching background, both Mike Ferry, Buffini, right? You did Buffini as well. She's ran an office. She has extensive experience. So your leadership team here is here to help you put business together, help you stay out of court, right? And help you negotiate so that you can keep those deals together, which is very difficult to do in this market. When things are pegged to one side, which is why I printed out that market summary report. If you all have that, okay? And we'll just look at that really quick because this is in relation to the listing presentation. What I want you all to be familiar with. So first of all, you get this from Flex MLS. There's a tab up top that says market summary. You click on that tab. We can do a quick demonstration of it in one of our meetings in the future, but it's really easy. Okay. All you have to put is any city in or zip code, double click on that, and then it'll pull up everything as of the last month. Numbers you want to start getting familiar with is average days on market. So you'll see summary stats for Camarillo. Average days on market was 25 days for January 2022. Last year, the same time, average days on market was 31 days. So we're 20% faster in closing right now, okay? The other thing, the median days on market is 10 right now, 10 days on market. That's the median. That's right in the middle of all your transactions that are closing. You have 10 as being really your true average right there, okay? Last year, that was 14 days. So 2 weeks down to 10 days, a 28% change. The average sales price, this is insane. For Camarillo, $952,836. That's up 28% from last year, January 21, $742,674. So if you're doing a market update report, and I recommend that you do something like this, do a quick little 2-minute video on social media saying, hey, this is your Monday market update, or this is your Friday market update, however you want to do it. Do a quick video, engage. You do this on a regular basis, at least once a month, but if you can do it every Friday, these are things that I've seen people elevate their business where they were doing roughly $60,000 a year to $300,000 a year. And I'm like, what was the big change? And this is a true story of somebody who I spoke to very recently. She's a centurion. She's only done roughly about 60 a majority of her career. She did these videos every single Friday. That was her biggest change of doing market update reports, talking about the process, the things that we're teaching here. You may not want to teach them on how to close on the, the open group, but things that we teach about, like what is an earnest money deposit? What are your time frames? How are you protected by the contract? Make videos like that. Okay, start becoming the market expert and show that you're the market expert. Okay, and these stats are going to help you with that. So we'll get into a little bit more of that. I just wanted you to at least see it. That absorption report at 0.66, what that absorption rate means is that's how much month supply you have. Okay, so in a buyers and a sellers market, what market are we in right now? We're in a buyers or sellers? Sellers market. Everybody knows that. Why is it sellers market? What are some of the traits of a sellers market? Low inventory. What else?
Multiple offers, things selling for higher than list.
Yep. So bid wars. What did I say about days on market? Low or high? Low days on market, right? Okay. Okay. And strong buyer demand. Okay. Strong buyer demand. So now we can say all these things, and that's great, right? But how do we show the proof? It's that absorption rate. So absorption rate, if it's 6 months inventory, that's a neutral market, 6 months. If it's less than, and we've seen this over, just so you know, because I've watched this for the last 4 or 5 years. This is one of the things that I can honestly tell you, that report has gotten me listings competing against other agents. Because everybody else says, oh yeah, it's a seller's market, great time to sell, right? I show them the numbers. I show them the absorption rate. I explain what the absorption rate is. I show them, said, look, the number, what's the absorption rate say for Camarillo? Do you see it on there?
0.69.
0.66, right? So
Less than a month.
it's less than a month. That's almost a half a month's inventory. So what that means, if no new listings come on the market, it would take, if it was at 1 month to sell everything on the market. And in the past, it was low at 2 to 3. When you saw 2 months inventory, that was low. Now we're less than that. So last year was at 0.94, almost 1 month's inventory in January 21. Now we're at 0.66. Is that an all-time low number? Is that why you're seeing $150,000 over asking price with these homes going out? Do you think it might be a good idea to list your home right now? You have to feel that, and they have to feel that when you call them or you door knock them or you talk to them and show them the number, show them where it was last year. This is more than just, hey, it's just a great time to sell. You're showing them that it will never be like this. And if you understand real estate cycles typically take 10 to 14 years to recover. When the market crashed, 2006 to 2008, 2009, the bottom of the market was 2011. But when it crashed in 2006, when prices were high, it took 14 years for those prices to get back up to that price point again. It's typically 5 to 7 years of growth, 5 to 7 years of decline, 14 years. So the question you ask him is, are you ready to stay in your house for another 14 years to get back to these prices? Is that a pretty profound statement and question to ask? It's huge. Most people don't want to be here or wherever for the next 14 years. So if you're thinking of making a move, do you probably want to do it before these rates get out of hand? Guess how many times the interest rates are supposed to go up this year? How many times? 5 more times.
Yeah.
Originally, they said 3. Now it's up 5 more times. Okay, where are rates roughly at right now for a conforming 30-year?
They're almost hitting 4.
Almost at
3.75 to 3.875.
3.75 to 3.85. Okay, almost at 4% interest rate. That has a huge impact. When we go up 0.5% at average prices at almost $900,000, you're going to lose buyers. It's going to change it. It's going to price people out. So even if they were qualified 3 to 6 months ago, they need to get qualified now. Okay, they need to rerun their numbers now. It's different. And it's changed, and it's changing the dynamics, but the demand is still strong. We're still moving in that upward direction. I know it because of offers I've written just over this last weekend and seeing it. It's crazy. It is insane out there still. Okay, which is discouraging to buyers and agents who want to represent buyers. But I'm going to tell you right now, stay focused on the buyers. Who's the best buyer out there? Let's identify the different types of buyers. Who is the best, most ideal buyer you can get?
Cash.
Cash is good. Close in 5 days, that's good, right? But think of the different types of buyers out there, because I hear everybody say they all want sellers. My focus is sellers. And let me start with a question before that. Why aren't sellers listing right now?
They can't buy something else.
They can't buy something else. Do you hear what you just said? Can't buy something else. So the focus should be on the purchase. Do you see what I'm saying? The best buyers are buyers who have a house to sell. Well, first of all, the best buyer is the buyer who's buying your listing, right? That's the best buyer. Now you're representing both sides. The second best buyer is a buyer who has a house to sell. Okay. Those are 2 major buyers out there that if you're focused on listings, sellers aren't buying because they have nothing else to purchase. You're missing a majority of the best buyers that are out there. A buyer who's either purchasing one of your listings or a buyer who has a house to sell to purchase another property, which is one of the most difficult things to do right now. We'll talk more and more about how to approach that and how to overcome those objections so that people list now and don't wait. Okay, that's huge. So one of the things you should do if you haven't written it down is come up with a list of reasons of why somebody should sell now. Should do the same thing on the buying side. And you have to think about this on a regular basis. This isn't something you try to create on the spot, on the fly. You got to have the numbers. You got to have the stats. You got to have real quick bullet points. So when you speak to people, you speak with conviction and they hear it and they want to follow you. Okay. They may be afraid at first, but they believe in you because you believe in it. And the other thing I need to make very clear is because when I talk about like fundamental beliefs, what are your 2 most fundamental beliefs? Yvette, what are the 2 fundamental beliefs when you go on a presentation, mindset wise? What do you have to believe?
I am the best.
You're the best. What else do you have to believe? That you can get the job done. Okay. 2 fundamental beliefs. You're the best. You're not the second best. You're not the 4th best, not the 99th best. You are the best person for the job. You have to believe that when you come into it. Doesn't matter if you're a brand new agent. Doesn't matter if you've been doing it for 30 plus years. Doesn't matter if you have all the stats. Doesn't matter if you're going against who you know is the #1 agent in the county or the country. Doesn't matter. You walk into that believing that you're the best, because if you don't, they're not going to hire you. Okay. You have to believe it. And part of having that belief is knowing what to say, how to say it, and that you're going to lead them through the presentation. You're going to ask the right questions, because I'm telling you right now, a lot of these top agents talk about how great they are into a presentation, and they're not listening. They're not asking questions. That's how you become the best. You ask great questions, you listen, you care about them. The other thing about belief, unless you know, when we say that self-confidence formula, part of why I get so passionate when I read it, even though I messed it up 20 times through the presentation, right? The reason why I get so passionate about it is it says, I will engage in no activity that does not benefit all whom it affects. You have to believe that what you're doing for the other person across the table is in their best interest. If you don't believe it, you can't do it. That's the difference between manipulation and persuasion. Okay. We are learning and we are sharpening our skill sets, not to be sleazy salespeople who take advantage of people. We do it because we need to help lead them to what they're trying to accomplish. Something they may not even know is in their best interest yet, right? I used to always hear you have to protect them from themselves because they don't know any better. This is what we do for a living. So we have to help them get to what it is that they're trying to accomplish. Does that make sense? So when I speak about these skill sets and when we sharpen them, this isn't for manipulation. Because I'll tell you real quick, if you're doing that, your business is going to crumble. People aren't stupid. They're going to see it. They're going to feel it. And you're not going to have a long run. We've heard plenty of people who weren't the best salespeople in this business. And it eventually catches up with all of them. Okay. But now if you're always doing what's right, you live by high integrity, you will do very well. And when you focus on these skills, it gets big. Okay. All right. So the one question I wanted to get to on those 5 things. So setting appointments, pre-qual, presentation, objection handling, and closing. What would you say if you mastered one of them is the most important thing to master? And there's benefits to all of them. So there's no right or wrong answer, but go ahead, Ernie. Presentation. Why do you say presentation?
Because when you master the presentation in front of somebody, you know what you want to say, you know how to deliver it. That allows you to get on the phone and start talking to more people because you know you want to be.
Okay, you need to teach this class right now. If you could just say that again to everybody, that was perfect. You don't have to say it right now. Go ahead.
The objectives,
The objection handler. Why do you say objection handler?
because if you can handle all the objections, then I mean you're in the right path. You know, whatever they say that they don't believe, you convey that information with the data that you have,
Right.
and I mean there's nowhere else to go.
Okay.
Like, all right.
I like that. So in closing, objection handling is key. Any other ideas of what could be the most important thing to master? They're all important.
Setting appointments.
Setting appointments. Setting appointments, great. Why setting appointments?
If you don't do that, you don't get a chance to do the other stuff.
It's true. You're 100% correct on that, right? If we're not talking to people on a regular basis, unless it just falls on our lap, which it does at times, right? You know, it may be tough to have a 10+ transaction a year if you're waiting for it to fall on your lap. Unless you've been doing it for a long time and you got a huge fear of business, it's going to be hard to get higher than that. You may do 2 or 3, you may do 5 on a good year, right? But to get to 10 to 12 to 15 to 20, you're going to have to initiate some conversations. Everybody's busy. So that's part of the hardest thing, is just getting somebody on a conversation in some way, engaging with them. Okay. So setting appointments, very important. Any other ones? The pre-qual is different than the somewhat similar, but different than the pre-qual with the loan officer. Pre-qual is discovery. And that's why I said at the last meeting, this is all about getting information. Okay. So that's important. So all are important. The right answer, at least from what I've heard, is actually presentation. Okay. Now you have to stay focused on setting appointments, but presentation is the right answer, exactly for what Ernie said. You master the presentation. Guess what happens to your prospecting? You think you're a little bit more confident when you're calling people to set that appointment? Just a tad bit, right? Are you excited to get face-to-face with somebody if you have a strong presentation? 100%. Okay, that's the key. So that's why we're starting with the listing presentation, even though we're going to hit every single one of these and practice them. So we're going to do role plays. I mentioned the morning Ascent. Role plays are going to be at 8:30. So right before. I know we're dropping kids off and doing different things like that. If you can make it, great. you know, we're trying not to go earlier than 8:30, just to, you know, we understand it's tough. In Utah, they do it at 7 a.m. for a role play. And then they do morning ascent at 8 a.m. on the phones by 9 o'clock. So that's the challenge with the starting a little bit later. It makes it where you have to prospect a little bit later. Prospecting typically is best between 9 and 11:30. That's your sweet spot in terms of people actually picking up the phone and getting a hold of them. Sometimes it's multiple calls, you know, on different days. So you got to have a system that works for that. Okay. All right. So let's get to the listing presentation. Any other questions with that? Does that all make sense? I'm glad we got the big view on it. I hope I'm not putting you guys to sleep. Let's go into the listing presentation. We're already getting close to the time. We'll at least do the overview of it. Has anybody practiced? Or well, first of all, does anybody feel strong with their listing presentation? Okay, well, let's work on that, right? We want to work on it. Does anybody feel strong listing presentation?
Come on, Leslie, you feel
No,
strong.
no.
Come on.
All right, who's taken a listing in the last 12 months? Okay, we've had it. We've had a few. Okay, so we got a few. What did you, was it something that was referred to you that you already knew you were going to get, or did you have to compete for the listing?
Mine were referral.
Yours were referrals, so yours don't count. And any other ones? Ernie, how was yours?
Well, I had some failed ones because I didn't stick to the presentation.
Okay. That's
And so when I walk out, I'm like, I think we should stick to the script.
what do you think you learn more from getting a listing or missing a listing? 100% on missing them. Okay. Missing's where you learn. They're tough lessons. So it's not a failure. It's how, and you're still going, right? That's a lesson that you're going to learn and you're going to adjust. That's when we go back to the drawing board. How about you in terms of your listings?
I'm sorry.
Listings just in terms of where you're competing against other
Not
agents.
last year, no, I did not compete.
Last year you
Prior
didn't.
year,
You had to compete. Okay. And do you feel pretty strong with your presentation?
I do, but I can always improve.
Okay.
The thing is that I more normally do the presentation to people I either know or have been referred to. So
Right.
I haven't really don't always need to like do the whole presentation.
Right.
Because it's not necessary.
Great point. So she hit on a few major points. One, you don't always have to do the whole presentation. Okay. When they're ready to sign, you sign the paperwork, close, right? When it's ready to do it. So we don't always do a full presentation. Second thing that she mentioned, and this, I was just joking with you, obviously, Severio, anytime it's a referral and it's somebody that you know, just know you're competing against 4 or 5 other agents, regardless of it being a referral. So you can't also think that you got it in the bag just because it was referred to you, that you're going to sign the paperwork, but always bring the paperwork with you to every presentation. Even if you're just checking the place out, just to preview it. And I'd say probably 90% of the time that I get inside of a house, they have to invite me. So I got to create enough value that they're like, okay, well, I think it's best if you come over, check our place out, tell us what we need to fix and how we get the home prepared. Okay. That's 90% of the time I bring my listing presentation, because I've also lost out on opportunities, hit it off with the owner, thought I had it in the bag, brought my family, I was pulling every card I could. I had the little babies and the kids and everybody there. It's like, look, these kids are going to be skinny if you don't, list with me right now. Right. And obviously that didn't work. And then the next day I come with the actual listing presentation, just to be fair, met him at an open house, created some value, talked about some different properties out there. He could tell I knew what I was talking about. I knew what was active, what was out there. Then I go check the place out, or he calls me about 2 hours later. Hey, I want you to check our place out. I go check it out. So I don't have time to prepare. It's going to happen, but you have to go and see it and discover, right? But I didn't have a listing agreement, didn't have any of that. Another competing broker the next day meets with them, asks him to sign the contract. He signs the contract. I bring my presentation the next day. It's too late. He's already signed a contract. Said, I'm so sorry. We just signed yesterday. You're kidding me. One day in between. I had 2 hours to get over there. It's just how it works. But I learned my lesson. Wouldn't do that again. Yes, Ernie.
No, that's kind of.
Similar. Yeah. So always have that ready with you. Yes, Karen.
So I always keep the listing presentation and all the documents in my car.
Good.
100% of the time.
That's smart.
So if you have your listing appointment, call you in 2 hours, you're already prepared. You've got your documents already ready in your car. and you always have them ready to go.
Yeah,
And
that's
if you're in competition, which
Uh-huh.
is, I'm pretty much in competition all the time.
Yep.
You're gonna do your best presentation, and you're going to show your value of you, not necessarily of what they need their house, because everybody's gonna do that. Every single person is gonna show them how they're gonna market their house, what they're going to do to get their house sold. You need to market you because you're the best person for the job.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you'll be the one to help back.
You have to separate yourself from the competition. That's exactly what she's pointing out right now. So you have to know what differentiates you from everybody else. And a big part is listening to them, listening to what they want. So our presentation is question-based, asking a lot of questions. And so the presentation starts when you set that appointment. To set the appointment, it's actually when you do what's called the pre-qualification. Does anybody know what the pre-qualification is before you actually meet with them? Yes.
Call them to confirm your appointment.
Yep.
And you ask them discovery questions.
Beautiful.
What those questions are, I can't tell you.
So discovery questions, that's perfect. Why do we want to ask them the discovery questions before we meet with them in person?
Because then you know what to prepare for your meeting the next day.
Okay. And if anybody has to leave, because we are at the 10 o'clock mark, feel free to leave. I'm going to continue just for another 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to demonstrate the intro if you want to see it, but if you have to go, I get it. I want to respect time as well. Okay. So no hurt feelings. So Yvette, come on down and you'll be my seller just because I know you love getting in front of everybody real quick.
All right.
Okay. So what we're going to go over.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, you're in. Anissa's the only one on. so
Hey,
you're good. Should probably talk. Okay, so what we're gonna do, so this is, we've already set the appointment, okay? We've done a pre-qual, and I guess we can do just a little bit of the pre-qual. So let's go ahead and we'll turn our backs to each other and we'll ring it real quick,
All
okay?
right.
All right, ring.
Hello,
Hi, is this Yvette?
this is.
Hi, Yvette. We have our appointment on Friday at 4 o'clock. I'm excited to meet with you. Are you and your husband still good for that time?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, before we get together on Friday at 4 o'clock, I have a few questions. I want to make sure we make the most out of our time. Do you got a few minutes for a few questions?
Yes, a couple.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm gonna go straight to the, you'll hear this right. So when we get together on Friday at 4 o'clock, do you plan to list your home with me?
I mean, I'm just gathering information right now.
Okay, great. So you're just doing your research, trying to understand the process a little bit more?
Yeah, this would be our first time selling, so I don't even know what it entails.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm so excited to have the opportunity to meet with you on Friday at 4 o'clock and share with you exactly what it takes to sell your home in this market.
That'd be awesome.
Wonderful. Okay, so just out of curiosity, are you interviewing any other agents for the potential sale of your home?
Yeah, two more.
Two more, great. And do you mind sharing with me who those agents are?
Yeah, one's my running buddy. Her name's Nicole. And then the other one is my neighbor's agent, Tina Hare.
Wonderful. That's awesome. Well, I don't know your running buddy, but I do know of the other name that you mentioned. And sounds like you got some great choices there. Do you know your running buddy, what company she works for?
Yeah, she runs for Smith & Johnson's.
Smith & Johnson. That's
Works
awesome.
for Smith & Johnson.
That's wonderful. Okay, great. So do you mind telling me, so ultimately, what are you trying to accomplish with the sale of your home?
Well, we want to be able to buy a bigger house. We've loved this house and we've put a lot of work into it. So I'm very attached to my home, but I do need a bigger house.
Okay, you need a bigger house. And any particular reason why you need a bigger house?
Yeah, because I've got 3 kids and 3 dogs.
Oh my
and
gosh.
it's excessive.
Okay. 3 kids and 3 dogs. I have 3 kids and I have 1 dog, and that's excessive. So I can't imagine 2 more dogs running around. So that's awesome. So so you're looking for a little bit more space.
Yes.
Do you mind telling me a little bit about your house?
Yeah, it's a single story with 3 bedrooms. Everything's upgraded. Did I mention I have a 1/4 acre lot?
Perfect, great. Okay. So then what I would do is I'd
It's a
ask.
dream.
All right. I'd ask her a little bit more. And on each of these questions, I wouldn't just ask the one question. If I could dig deeper, I'm going to dig deeper, trying to figure out what the motivation is. Now, the key is sometimes people will open up more on the phone And if I get that negative information, I know I'm gonna get the listing. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get the answers to the test before I take the actual test, okay? So that's what the pre-qual is. This is a very important step in the process. Setting the appointment's one thing. You'll get a lot of reschedules, you'll get cancellations. When you go through this process, they'll understand that you're the professional and that you already know what you're doing before they get there. And they're much more likely to keep the meeting as well. This is the way you create value, okay? So it's very important. Now I asked some questions that personally I don't ask in every single pre-qual, right? Depending on what the situation is. I asked if she'd list with me right out the gate. And that actually is one of the scripts that talks about that. And they go straight to the point because you're going to hear their objection right away. They're either going to say yes, or they're going to say, well, we're just checking you out. We're going to interview a couple other people. You want to know what your competition is. And we'll talk about that later on in terms of how to do that. Okay. So let's go into the intro now. So there's a few things. And if you've heard us do the presentation before, there's a few things we want to start with. You know what we want to start with, right?
Yeah,
What do we want to start with?
I don't have my notes in
No,
front
it's
of me, but
okay.
it's,
What is it?
you're gonna compliment them.
Okay.
And you are building trust.
What are we doing first, right? We're tapping.
Yeah,
It's a tap.
thank,
Yeah.
acknowledge,
Promise.
and promise.
Okay. So a few different things I can acknowledge, but I'll just do it really quick. So you bet, excited, or let's knock on the door first.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias. How are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
¿Qué pasa? Okay. Very excited to see you today. Thank you for having me over. And I know you were saying that you're looking forward to getting into a bigger house. And my promise to you is after we're done with our presentation today, you're going to have a really good understanding of what it takes to sell your home and move into a bigger house in this market. You ready to go?
That sounds great.
Awesome. So then typically what I'm going to do, so that's just your intro. Thank, acknowledge, and promise. Okay. It's got to be clean. I can acknowledge that you have a beautiful home. I can acknowledge you if it's not a beautiful home, right? A little bit rough. I can say thank you for your time, right? I can acknowledge their time. We want to acknowledge them. That's key. And then we go to the promise. The promise is critical as well. Could be the promise is by the end of this, you'll see that I will help you get as much money from the sale of your home. If I found out through that discovery process of the pre-qual that that's what she wants to do is make as much money from the sale of the home, that's what I'm going to acknowledge. She tells me timing, I got to be there by June because we want to see our grandson graduate. Then that's what I'm going to acknowledge. I'm going to show her already that I've listened. Okay. Then I go through the promise. After the tap, does anybody know what's next? After tap.
Look at the house.
We could say that. And that's typically what I would do. After the intro, I would say, do you mind showing me around the house? And I have a few questions for you as we go through the place. And I will do that. And I want to ask all the challenging questions. Just any leaks, any issues, have you done termite, right? I want to take notes on all that. Okay, so we go through the place. Then after we've done that, now I would say, do you have a few minutes? I have a few questions and some things I prepared for you. Can we sit down somewhere?
Yes.
Wonderful, great. So the next part I'm going to do, so think of tap, what rhymes with it is map. I got to show them what we're going to do through this presentation. Okay, that's your blueprint, is your map. Okay, on that, there's going to be 4 key things that we're going to go over. First thing is what? Remember, still discovery. So we did some discovery on the phone. Hopefully, some of the good ones literally would take 20 to 30 minutes on the pre-qual. This guy had a 90% conversion rate in Seattle. It was insane. He was analytical, 20 to 30 minutes on his pre-qual, but 90% conversion, doing like 150 to 200 transactions a year. It works. All right. So
Make a promise.
so no, we did the, wait, that's
I got
the
nothing
P.
else.
Okay, so after that, so on the map, right? The map is, we're gonna say there's 4 key things. One, we're gonna talk about your needs, your wants, your expectations. Okay, expectations of you and what agent you're looking for. And just if you are taking notes, the key question that gives me a lot of good information is, what is the expectation in the agent that you're looking to hire? Okay, huge to hear that and try to start with that. So when I sat at the table with this family, that was the first question I asked them. I asked husband, who was the driver, who was doing all the talking. I asked him first, what are you looking for in the agent that you look to hire? Because he told me he had 2 other agents he was interviewing. One was a pastor, one was so I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna beat the pastor, right? And then the second one was another top agent in the area. Okay. And then so husband said, I want somebody who knows the neighborhood and knows the uniqueness of my property and can give me top dollar. We're retiring, we got to make as much money as we can. Then wife said, And Yvette doesn't know, but what the wife said was, this was with our family for the last 20 years. It's a very warm home. We want somebody warm who's going to greet the people who come in. Two completely different things of what they're looking for as an agent, which they're, husbands looking at her like, what? We want somebody who's going to make us as much money as we can. So it's actually an opportunity for the two of them to get on the same page with that as well. That's huge. That gives you the answers to the test of what you're going to focus on when you present. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's big there. So we talk about needs, wants, expectations. Number two, we're going to talk about what we do, as Karen mentioned earlier, to sell a home, right? What are the steps we take? Plan of action. I take a listing. These are the steps of what I do. Number three, we're going to talk about the market. There's your Flex Market Summary Report, where the market's been, where it's at, where it's heading. Okay. We're going to talk about how that, if everything makes sense, we're going to talk about price at that point. And we're going to come up with a price together of what a buyer is going to get excited about. And we're going to talk about pricing strategy. So that's another topic we're going to get into. Finally, if everything makes sense, we're going to handle paperwork. That's the fourth part. So you're already doing a assumptive close in your intro. Okay. Then we go into the actual discovery portion where we're asking questions, getting a little bit more, we're confirming what was said in the first phone call. And then we're digging deeper and building deeper. And once we know everything we need to know, now we know how to close that presentation. Does that make sense? Okay, any questions with that? I just wanted to kind of give a high level overview. Let's give Yvette a round of applause for being an awesome seller up here. Good job. Any questions before we get going? Because we're going to keep building on this. That's just high level, and then we're going to jump into it. Does it make sense? Is it scary? Is it something that we think we can learn and master? Okay, feel free. And we recorded this one too, so feel free to take notes. The agents that I've seen really succeed with this, they outlined everything and came up with their own version of what made sense to them. I don't typically go from A to Z through the presentation, but I know where I'm supposed to go through the presentation. And I know what needs to happen before I can get to where they're going to choose me. Okay. That's important to know. Once you understand that, that's mastering the presentation. Now your calls get a lot easier. Your door knocking, your open houses, everything gets a lot easier because now you're excited about your presentation. Because once you get into that, your rates are going to go up in terms of your conversion rate. Okay. All right. So let's wrap it up. We'll just do the closing affirmations here if you can. All right, so we'll do the closing. I succeed because I act on my goals. I'm an optimist. I like talking to new people. I know what is important to me. I remember people's names. I have a daily plan and I follow it. I'm passionate about real estate. I know consistency is my greatest tool. I like asking questions and listening. I enjoy reading to improve my sales skills. My thoughts lead my emotions, actions, and results. I focus on my dreams daily. My presentation is powerful and persuasive. I improve my skills daily. I'm happy. I love to prospect because it feeds my business. I see my future and it is awesome. I love my life. I'm grateful and thankful. I control my thinking. I believe in me. I feel outstanding. I use my beliefs and optimism to succeed daily. I get things done. I provide excellent customer service. I drink water daily. I connect with people. People love me. I love others. I'm disciplined and accountable to my daily schedule. I prospect daily. I set appointments daily. I'm a master persuader. I achieve my goals. I'm a real estate rock star. I'm passionate about my life. I live every day with purpose. I'm confident in my sales skills. I know my destiny. I'm healthy and strong. I'm powerful. I'm unstoppable. I keep positive, exciting, fun, productive thoughts and all times. Yes. Good job, guys. All right. Nice job, everybody. And